Tracey, I've got a juicy topic for you.
Go on.
So, I got asked this question, and I thought this was quite fascinating. Someone said, "Do you actually need supplements?" When I heard
Start with an easy one.
when I read the question, I was a bit like, okay, so people are asked this, and I don't know about you, but I've got a couple of friends who were just like, you don't need supplements, you get everything from food, and which is a common practice.
But not just friends. I mean, probably that would be, other than what's the healthiest diet, do you actually need supplements is probably the top question that I've gotten asked in my whole career.
Yeah.
So it's a big one.
I mean, a lot of the mainstream medical community will talk about the fact that you don't need supplements. I mean, look at the big push now to having the 30 points, the 30 vegetables and fruits and vegetables. They don't ever disregard supplements. And there's very famous Instagram influencers who are medical doctors saying, oh, you can get everything you can from food. And I was looking at that question, and I thought it was a bit of an open-ended kind of loaded question, I would say, because everyone's trying to get our opinion on it. And I'm just going to put my opinion because I want to get into the juicy details with you. But my opinion is, yes, we do need supplements, and I have a really good argument for it. But I know you know what my argument is, because we'll just get into the fact of vitamin D.
I don't actually, for
You
sure.
don't know
Well, I know your argument on certain nutrients and supplements or whatever, but I don't across the board, because we've never actually properly spoken about this. But before we go into it, I do want to just kind of caveat what you said, because I think the 30 plants kind of movement, I would say that that's kind of looking at something else. Yes, it's talking about nutrition and diet, but I would say that's dealing more with, kind of your microbiome, the need for diversity. So all of the intricacies of food that we don't talk about outside of, vitamins and minerals and things, your polyphenols, antioxidants, fibers, all of that. To me, the kind of 30 plants movement is a little bit more about that. And I actually think that it's, I have a lot of time for that. I think it's a very simple way to encourage people to look more at the diversity of their diet. But that's aside from this conversation of whether we need supplements or not, because I think what you also touched on was this piece where when you talk to a lot of people that work in the medical or nutrition or health industry in general, there does tend to be this lip service towards, you can get everything you need from a healthy, balanced diet. You should always focus on a healthy, balanced diet and da 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 da. And I really want that to be true. I genuinely do, because you do need a healthy, balanced diet, and you do need to eat real, whole, proper foods. And that's really important. But that's important for other reasons, as well as just getting your vitamins and minerals. And I think when we're talking about, do we need supplements, we have to account for the diet in your environment, because we have to account for all of the things that are challenging our nutrient status, like medications, stress, alcohol, caffeine, environmental pollutants, pesticides, household and beauty products, all the chemicals in those, mold, mycotoxins, all of the things that we're exposed to now that our ancestors might not have been, are challenging our nutrient status, plus the fact of the soil nutrient levels that, that's a whole other thing to get into. But, when you Google how much beta carotene or how much vitamin A in a carrot, that's going to pop up with a quantity that's based on studies that are years old, decades old. And whereas if you actually take soil samples now, we know that the nutrient levels...
Full of pollution.
Yeah, but they're packed full of pollution, but also our soils are depleted. The way that we're farming now is completely depleting mineral levels in our soil. And so obviously the plants that we're growing in that, they don't have the same quantity of nutrients as we used to. But because, if you check online and you're like, oh, how much of this am I getting from spinach? How much of this am I getting from beans? How much of this am I There's this idea that yes, we can get it all from diet. But in my experience, even people who are consuming the most wonderful, most pure, most whole food balanced diet, sometimes they have days where they miss meals, or they undereat, or maybe they indulge in, lots of carbs and less vegetables, or maybe they're super stressed, or they're having relationship issues, or they've had a bereavement, or they've broken their leg and they need to take some medication for that. Maybe they're not washing their vegetables, living in a completely pollutant-free environment. Maybe they are using conventional beauty and household and health products and things. All these other things that can be, attacking their system and fighting for nutrients in their system. And so I don't want to blanketly say that absolutely everyone needs supplements. And I definitely don't mean that everyone needs supplements all of the time. Like, I think there's also that argument of people who are literally on 20 million supplements every single day for the rest of their lives. And
The biohackers.
The biohackers. But there's definitely a moment for biohacking if you're in a state of dis-ease, if you're, struggling with a particular ailment. There's definitely times for, quite robust supplement and health regimes. But I think just for maintaining general long-term health, there's definitely points for supplements throughout if you really want to feel your best. And I stand by that. I don't know.
But you say you don't know, but like if you look at like athletes, for example, when you're putting your body through so much strenuous exercise, your body's need to heal and repair is going to increase. And there's only so much amount of food you can fit into your body. And so supplementing with vitamins and minerals allows them to meet that nutrient deficiency need. And I'm going to say the word deficiency because it can be a deficiency. And it's the same with like healing. When your body's going through a healing process, your body needs good food to heal. Like we've seen it, we've experienced it before. We've seen it with people who are like, oh, when I'm taking like Toxprint, for example, when they're healing a leaky gut, they'll say, I'm thirsty. And then I always ask the question of like, how much water are you drinking? And they'll say they're drinking water, but then what water are you drinking? I mean, it goes into another argument of like tap water and how much nutrients and minerals are in there. And the thing,
well, that's another thing that's depleted because, minerals used to be quite readily available in our water. So we're like electrolytes and like, certain amounts of salts and things like that. But our water system is massively depleted as well. So you just can't count on these things. And I think that if you are kind of, consuming a balanced diet and you're drinking great water, but you don't feel great, then you need to look at, what you could be missing. And, you need to test and explore that.
But I think what people do is they'll get this one person who doesn't take supplements, who's really healthy, and they'll make them the poster child and say, this person doesn't take supplements, they're the poster child for it. But as the body ages, its needs increase. Like we've proven that with B vitamins, we've proven with magnesium. Magnesium's over 300 different processes in the body. Your body needs magnesium. Vitamin D, I don't care what anyone says, every single person needs vitamin D because before, if you look at this, the famous ancestral diet.
Wait. Because like every single person needs vitamin D in the northern hemisphere that we live in. I think if you're living in...
I go...
Are we going to go...
No. Okay, listen.
But like if...
You've got to think about this, right? Industrialisation, even in countries in the southern hemisphere, has changed. We are now told to hide from the sun. We're now putting everything above SPF 10. So people are actually covering their skin with SPFs. They're not getting vitamin D because once the blocker's on, you're not getting it. In China, one of the biggest growing markets in there is skin color protectors.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing. So these people are still, yes, they've got access to the sun, but they don't understand the sun.
Oh, no, I totally agree with you. And I think probably in reality, a lot of people, they're like staying out of the sun because they're told, to protect their skin and it's anti-aging, or else they're like slathering themselves in SPF like every hour on the hour. And yeah, in that case, even if you are in a warm climate, you probably still will need vitamin D. All I'm saying is that technically speaking, you could get all the vitamin D you need from the sun
Oh,
if you're willing to
100%.
live that way.
Yeah.
That's just the caveat that I'm putting in there in terms of like, technically we don't need vitamin D supplements, but most of us do in reality require them because of our lifestyles and because we're not willing to compromise on other aspects. That's all I'm saying.
No, and I don't disagree with you. Like, even when we did our study on In Principe and we looked at the people and we tested the people's vitamin D levels, all the people that were working in hotels or indoors in office jobs had low levels of vitamin D because they weren't going into the sun, and having darker skin made it that their body was harder for their body to get the vitamin D into it. And the issue is as well, I think what really gets me, what really really like, say that grinds your gears or pisses you off, is when people think that they can take something like magnesium, for example, once and be completely fine with it. Because we're not talking about the fact that our body uses up the nutrients and vitamins and minerals. It's like when you eat food, you don't just eat one meal a year, do you? You have to eat continuously to keep the body fed.
You have to remember, our bodies are alive, so they're like engines. They are like, everything you're putting in is utilized and it's moving forward. It's like a car that you're putting, you have to keep topping up with petrol or oil or whatever you do. Like, our bodies are engines, so you put in something, it uses it up, and then it needs some more. And I mean, there are cases obviously where there's, people will come with severe malnourishment, either generally across the board or like for certain nutrients. And there are cases where you can, take a supplement course for a certain amount of time, bring your levels up to, restore your levels to a healthy level, and then integrate other lifestyle changes so that maybe you don't depend on supplements as much. But I do think a lot of us are living lifestyles that do require the addition of supplements in order for our body to facilitate our bodies functioning properly. And that's just something that's not discussed. We tend to kind of assume that people who are talking about the value of supplements are kind of saying that, oh, well, diet doesn't matter at all. You can out-supplement an unhealthy diet, which is absolute.
That's not true.
That's not true
That's not
at
true.
all.
That's not true.
You also need a healthy diet for all of the different factors that are in foods that we haven't even tipped the iceberg in terms of research and exploration on that side. But also because of the world we're living in. And for example, the fact that, as you say, a lot of people that even live in hot, sunny countries slather themselves in sun cream because that's what we're told to do, will probably still require supplementation if that's what they're doing, if they're not letting their body do its thing and synthesize vitamin D from the sun. So
I mean,
a lot of issues.
Industrialisation has changed the way our body operates as well and functions. We're exposed to a lot. There was a study done in 2017 by the Food Standards Authority of the United Kingdom, and they looked at the toxicity in food. And for anyone who's watching, I'm going to link the information below in the description. But that study showed that in some cases, in some foods, especially I think it was down towards the southeast, if I remember correctly, I might misquoting this, they found 20 times more lead in like charred lettuce, green vegetables, leafy vegetables. And the reason being is what people forget is, cars. When you have vehicles, they release lead. And where do you think that goes? That goes into the rainwater that then pours onto the plants, and then the plants soak up that water. And that's the issue that no one's talking about, is the fact that we're still exposed to it. And please don't come at me with the argument of, it's okay, I've got an electrical car. Listen, bud, your electrical car, the amount of stuff they have to mine and the amount of digitalization they actually need to produce those cars still pollutes the planet. And and the thing is, people don't understand is that we're now told to eat that food, and even organic food, yes, it's organic because it's got no pesticides in there, but it's still got the same amount of, they're still picking up the same amount of minerals and toxins from the environment.
You can't control
the
water and the air and all of that.
So we have to detox. And we'll bring it back to the topic at hand, which is, I'm just saying this is a caveat that we should be speaking about.
That's another episode.
That's another episode, but it's a caveat to, why we should be supplementing, because if those toxins, they replace minerals in the body as well. And we're not talking about that. We're not discussing that. And I think, for me personally, and I'm going to answer this with chest and say it with confidence, I think, yes, we do need to supplement, but, and I'm going to add the word but into it, you need to work with a practitioner to find the right supplements for your nutrient deficiencies.
Or you need to be willing to, really do the research yourself and, find the right people to talk to and work it that way. But I think, what you're saying essentially is that it needs to be personalized. And that is 1,000,000% the case.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people. And I actually think one of the reasons people can be quite skeptical about supplementation is that there's so many people out there who are taking, a random multivitamin, or they, heard that fish oil is really good for them, or they heard that vitamin C is good for the immune system, or B vitamins are good for, the brain or whatever. And they're just going to, any old place, picking up, any sort of vitamin that maybe they've seen in an ad or that's just easily available to them, not actually having an association as to whether, they do have a need for that, taking it for a while, not feeling a difference and being like, oh, well, supplements are a bloody waste of time because I just spent all that money, or, I took them for ages and it didn't do anything for me. So supplements just don't work for me. But actually, it's not that they don't work for you. It's that maybe you're not taking something that you need. So obviously in that case, that's not going to work for you, because if you have enough iron in your body, if you take more iron, it's not going to make you feel better. But also you might not know what specific nutrients you need for the specific issues that you have. And you might not know how to take them, what forms of nutrients, for how long do you take them, how do you take them, when do you take them, what are the signs that, you can go off them again. There's so many of these questions. That's why there's people that study this and make a profession out of this. But what I always say is that if you're taking supplements and you're not feeling a difference, then you're taking them wrong. So you need to work that out, because if you're taking the right supplements
and the right dosage
and the right form and for the right period of time, and you actually need the things that you're taking. So we're not talking like, oh, this is really trendy to take, let me just take this because everyone else seems to feel great, maybe I will. If you're taking something that your body really needs, trust and believe you will see a difference, like night and day. And I will stand to that because I have seen it over and over and over and over and over again in my work.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
you'll be a different person.
Yeah, and it's true. That's like just to caveat on the back of that.
Caveat.
Yeah, no, but the caveat back of that is just like both of us are taking vitamin D now. We've tested and been taking it right amounts. Have you gotten ill recently?
Not for a long time. And I feel like I should be, because not only am I surrounded by people that are getting ill, but I'm not sleeping properly because I have a baby, and trying to do the transition back into work. So that's kind of a lot, but definitely not eating as well as I normally do, because when you're looking after a child, that doesn't always happen. So yeah, I probably should be getting very sick.
Yeah, it's weird that we're not, isn't it?
I mean, it's not weird because we know what we're doing and we're kind of supporting our immune system. But yeah.
Interesting. Well, that's our answer. So let's put the question out to you. Do you think we need to take supplements daily? Let us know in the comments below.
And if you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe. And if you really enjoyed it, do hit us with a like. We really appreciate it.